Alrighty. This is part three. I don't actually know if the fucking microphone will be recording, but we'll see. So, what I've missed in recording, I've built the surrounding outside, and I've kind of finished the doorway over here. Um, if I restart, you can kind of see when I go to this door and press up on it, the door disappears. That's just because I have the visibility setting tied to um, when the room changes, so I can just visually see that the code is working. Um, so what to do next? I think I'm gonna make a gong. So I've got a chest down here started, but I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? No, I'm gonna make one of those sword displays. So what I start doing, I make like a rough draft of what the pixel art will look like, and then once I have a general idea of where all the pixels go and what color they are, um, then I can use one of these setups up here that change which tiles are visible, which ones are what color, and all that fun stuff. So I'm gonna bring up a photo of an Edu style sword display stand, just so I can have kind of a reference point. That one looks alright. Okay. So the handle would be on this side. That seems too wide. I'm gonna do too wide. Or maybe, should I do? No. No. So that's kind of the general proportions. The sword is the long one across the top. I'm gonna see if this fits the scale of our character, which it looks like it does, but I want to see if the height, if his actual height matches. Yeah, that's pretty good. Press the item, he'd pick it up. Yep. So these aren't actually grouped. Group them. Now, I'm gonna color it all brown for the wood grain. The problem with the setup I have going now is that there's so many brown tones in here that you keep having to use different tones so they don't blend together. And it makes everything look kind of tacky. So we're gonna do this side is the blade, and then this side will be the handle of the sword. So that's kind of the gist of the sword display. Yeah, it still seems a little too wide, but yeah, that's fine. Maybe give it a red handle. I think what I'm going to do is have the sword is an inactive state for the entire game until the player picks it up, then they'll have access to use it. So I'm going to put the red handle as kind of to add an emphasis to it. So you know it's not just part of the environment. Plus it kind of matches, it unifies with his belt, or whatever that's called. Yeah. Okay. So this guy, this is the normal state of it. But once the player comes along, and interacts with it, the sword itself disappears and it's just the stand by itself. So I'm going to grab the position detecting, I don't know what to call this, whatever it detects when the player is within perimeter of the object. So there's the player, and this would be the object. Selecting this one, we're going to go with, we're actually going to make a new object because none of these are centered. We're going to make one right in the middle of that. Scale back. So that was these guys. So now, when these distance indicators detect that he's within under 3 wide and 1 tall, so when he's within 3 meters across and 1 meter height, these will both be active, and when they're both active, that's when the player will be allowed to press the button. That's kind of how these things work, in case anybody was wondering. So now, you can have a 2-input operator to detect when both of these are active, when the player is both within the height and width needed. When they're... No, I can't do that, because I need... If I press equals, when the player's not on either, they'll still be equals to 0. So I need 3 inputs, and one of them has to be 1, so when they're all equal to 1. Variable data source. 1 equals. So when all 3 of them equal 1, then this thing will hit a 1, and when this is at a 1, it'll be active. So generic. This will detect when this is active. It'll let we want break. Actually, you know what? This is the setup we have for the active part. So when the player presses this, it goes through here. So we're just gonna take from this and put it over to here instead of adding another button. That way, if we've got to change the button, we just have to change one instead of going through all the code. So they press the button, it detects if he's in the perimeter. If he is within the perimeter, it'll go through, and when it goes through, it'll set a new value. It'll set this to a 0 actually, and it'll start as a 1. So if they're in the perimeter and they press the button, it'll set this 1 to a 0, which will be... Okay, so I was gonna just tie the visibility state to this, so when it's at a 1, the sword will be visible, but they're gonna change rooms, so the sword's gonna have to be invisible at times, even when they have or haven't got the sword already. So I have to do 2, one for the room and one for once they've activated it. So we want to go low. No. We want the max when they're both not equal to 1. Or when either one's equal to 1, yeah. So this one is the one, once they activate it, it'll set to 0. But this will be if they're in the room at all, I think. If they're in the room, no, we want it to be min. We want it, hold on. So 1 is that it's visible. So we do want it to be min. Because yeah, if they're in the room and it's there, they'll both be 1s. If they're not in the room, it'll be a 0 and a 1 and they haven't picked it up. Yeah, okay. Okay. And then once they've gotten it, it'll set to 0, but they're still in the room, so it'll be a 1. We don't want it to, yeah, so we want min. Uh, the red is standing out a little too much for me. Gonna go with dark red. I want to go with like a dark purple, but that won't match the character. It won't. That's good. So the visibility of these are tied to those. And because these will only be active when he's in the room, these can just be tied straight to the room itself. So for this one, not in the room, in the room, not in the room, in the room, in the room, but the sword is missing. Perfect. Okay. And this guy will just always be invisible because he's just to detect when the player's within the area. So this will probably be in the center of the room when the character gets it. That seems about right. And so we want to bring it back a bit. No, it's too much now. Oh, that's pretty close, but oof. Yeah, there it is. So when he won't be able to stand on par with it, like on the same level as it, but if he's behind it, or he's in front of it, so you can run circles around it. And then you grab it. Oh, do I already have it tied to it? Oh yeah, I did. But the position isn't working. That's not it. If they're both equals to 1. Oh, should these should be less than? Less than equals? So we can't grab it over here. Can't grab it here though either. Something's not right with that. Oh, I left this over there, that's why. Make that part of the group. You can grab the sword when it's there, but not when he's here. Perfect. The height seems a little too wide. Height is less than 1. Can I go less? And less. No. No, it's gotta be less equals. Alrighty. So he can now grab the sword and equip it. It kind of bothers me that this is 3 wide and this is 2. So maybe... I'll move it later. So it's on parallel with some of them. Now we're going to create a hitbox for the table so we can't walk through it. And we've already done that for the plant, the vase, and the stool, I believe. No, we haven't done it for the stool. But we've done it for the vase. So I'm just going to copy the code for that. Which is all this stuff. Oh, you know what? We got some here. I think I copied this earlier just to use as an example. Or just in case I needed to copy it later. So it's already got the target with it. So I'm going to group that. And copy it again to actually use. Or I'll save this as a copy. And this I'll use. Actually, I already have a block there. So I'm going to just retarget. Probably easier to retarget these two. To this. And just delete that. Because there's less going to this one than there was of all of these ones going to the character, so. See if that still works. Can't grab it here. Can't grab it here, but I can grab it there. Yep. And that red handle again is bugging me still. Gray, maybe? We don't need any of the animation. This we've already done down here. So these kind of replace all this code for the animation. So okay. Oh yeah. So I used N inputs to detect the left, right, up, and down directions on everything. Which one does this go to? Because now I can just go, every time I have a new object that the player runs into, I can just select the variables for that one instead of writing new generic filters in the left, right, and down for every single object. Or it'd be like, detect if he's next to a lamp, detect if he's next to a plant, detect if he's next to a table, and just doing that over and over. These things are tied to the generic filter, and these things just point out whenever he's next to any of the objects, and then you only have to filter for the one N input. So when I checked, yeah, he's tied to the bottom on that one, which means the other side will be tied to the opposite. This guy is tied to the top. I wonder why I did it in reverse. I don't remember. Oh, damn. I accidentally selected the wrong guys. I selected the ones over here, I think. Yeah. Yeah, so now I can't run up any further there. Can't run over any further here. Can't run down there. And it's that easy to make collision. I just copy the existing code. That's some good collision right there. Sweet. So, the sword is there, and he can now interact with it. But the purpose of the sword is to get the item he uses. So in the next 4 minutes, I'm gonna just run down the code of deactivating the sword and activating it when he presses it. So the sword itself is tied to this guy, and this is detecting all the zeros again. So I just have to write one thing that this detects that's inactive. So are they ones? They're zeros, that's perfect. Okay. So if this guy, if all the zeros except this one don't equal 1. Wow, that was easy. So now, oh, damn it. Yeah, so now I can't attack because I accidentally did the attack instead of the triangle. But it's the same general idea. So that would have worked if I'd done the right thing. Um, so right now we can't attack until he gets the sword, which is kind of the same thing, just visually changes. There it is. So same thing, but on the triangle, which is down here. Splits, detects if all these are equal. Detect the bottom one again. So now I can't bring out the sword and press the triangle, but I pick up the sword, and now I can switch. Awesome. 2 minutes left. I'm going to actually make an animation of him pulling out the sword, which is real easy as well, because all I have to do for that filter, delay filter, do 3. So once this sets and he picks up the sword, right, and then this will send an impulse to the switch itself. Where is it? That guy. Could probably do 1 tick. So now, you come over to the sword, you pick it up. Oh, it didn't work. Pick it up. Why isn't that working? Sends a delayed impulse to the triangle button. So just go straight to that. Yeah, that'll probably work better. To 2 tick delay. Yeah, there we go. Awesome.